Hey everybody, welcome back, and welcome to the new subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support in the last video, and I truly appreciate the motivating comments that you all shared, and looking forward to having another episode. Alright, you can see we're using some shaders and a new sky pack, which I really like. We'll see if the fan kicks into overdrive, but I'll leave these on for the beginning of the episode. So we're back at home, and last time we were out on the island, right over there, the desert island, and we were building out that villager city, and then before that we were getting this elytra that I'm wearing right now. So it's been a while since we've been home, and the elytra has been super helpful in mapping out the unexplored areas of the world. And let me just show you with a quick update. So as you can see by the naming convention, I took my own advice from my map wall video and used the coordinates to organize all this since it's getting to be a pretty sizable map wall. I'm thinking eventually we'll have to expand the base, not only for just storage purposes after we update and all the new blocks, but just to make a map room as well. So that is on the books for planning. But in the last episode, we gathered most of our sand up here. You can see the areas that I actually carved out the red sand, which is pretty cool. In terms of distance, I thought it was like really close to spawn, but if you look at the overall distance, it's quite a bit farther actually than the original Badlands biome that we found on our Winter Island adventure, where we went all the way out here with no elytra. I have gone out there I think once more since the last episode just to gather more of the red sand because, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I was thinking of resetting the chunks in this area entirely because there is an ocean in this region in the 1.21 world, or at least the 1.20 world currently. So yeah, those will be gone, and I need to take full advantage of getting all of the red sand and enough materials for the city so we can continue to construct that on the neighboring island. And for those new to the series, we are all the way over here. We have two little islands right there, and then the villager city has been constructed on the northern part of this dragon-shaped island. So that's where we were in the last episode. Essentially, I've explored enough of the map and the world that I'm very comfortable updating to the tricky trails, not tails like I said in the last episode, update. So look forward to that. Hopefully my computer can handle it, but we'll see. But today I don't have too much planned, although I do want to do one other thing before we update the world, and that is get some more netherite. Because as you can see with the diamond helmet on my head, we have essentially exhausted all of the netherite that we have managed to mine so far, or at least gather, for the current gear, and since I lost the helmet I haven't had a chance to replace it. And given that you need the upgrading templates in the newer versions, I do want to stock up on netherite tools before we update, just to save us the effort since a lot of the nether has been explored, as you'll soon see. So let's go ahead and head over to the nether via our portal on the other island. Actually, let's head there via the basement route since it has been a while since we've taken this route. So before we head into the nether, I do want to warn everybody that it has changed pretty drastically since we were last over there in episodes 10 and 11. Yeah, it's really been that long, and I had to double take when I look back at the episodes because I couldn't believe it's been over a year since I've shown you the nether. I have still not used this barn for anything. In fact, I haven't used this island for anything, so this is definitely something on my radar for a project that we can upgrade and just build on a little bit more once the world is updated. But going into our little nether cave. Alright, here we go. Okay. So, I have cleared out a lot down here, and maybe that's a small understatement. Let's go ahead and drink this potion of night vision. Alright, so here's what happened. When I'm tired, I like to come down here and just mindlessly mine netherite, or ancient debris, and this gives me time to think about the content and kind of the things I want to do around the world. And so I get a little carried away because I really enjoy doing this. And what you can see here are the results of these efforts. Okay, so how this works is we are at, I guess, y equals 13. Really 12, since the glass has also been mined out. And I go all the way up to y equals 20, and this is essentially where all the netherite spawns. And once we're up there, I go ahead and just make the ceiling flat. And the reason for this is it makes it really easy to fly around. like so. This area that's been mined out and covered in glass, so as to spawn-proof this area, is equivalent to an entire map's worth of zoomed out area in the overworld. So effectively, it serves as this nice little hub down here. And yeah, I had to clear out a lot of lava to get this lake and all this stuff neat and tidy. So what we have here are surrogate blocks, and these used to be where ancient debris were found. We used these because originally I wanted to have sea lanterns, although at the time we did not have any access to the Guardian farm, but now that we have sea lanterns aplenty, and a plethora of them available at any time, I'll go ahead and replace these surrogate blocks that have already been mined out with the corresponding sea lanterns, so in a manner as such. Yeah. So the idea is that we'll have a nice visual representation of where all the ancient debris is down here. I don't know, it's kind of like the realization of an X-ray mod, but without, actually using X-ray and just clearing it out. But yeah, I thought it would just look cool when you're flying around, just to see all this stuff and just the overall expanse of the area. So I have no idea how much ancient debris there actually is in this quadrant, but as you can see, it's for the most part cleared out. I've yet to remove this ceiling part, which I guess constitutes about 1/3 of this area. So that's something I need to do, but I'm not going to do it in this episode because it takes so much time, as there's a lot of lava lakes kind of right in the center over there. I pathed out the borders, and so if you look at the chunk borders, it's all nice and aligned. And ultimately, I would like to make a rail system or ice boat thing, just so we can get around here much more easy. Alternatively, if I can clear out the ceiling, we can fly around. But yeah, I've really spent most of my efforts clearing out this chunk, and I haven't really messed with the bottom, just because you have to go all the way down to bedrock to keep the gas from spawning, and that's quite an endeavor in itself. I have made a little bit of headway over here, and then I actually made a tunnel. Oops, that's why I keep the ceiling flat. I have made a tunnel that goes all the way to spawn over here. But yeah, we don't need to go all the way over there, since this is all Crimson Forest. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of lava that also needs to be cleared here as well. Although it's not too bad. So, for the first part of this episode, I'm thinking I'll just go ahead and mine out all the netherite in this quadrant, count it up, and replace it with the corresponding sea lantern blocks, as I did here. And this would be horribly boring to watch, so I'll probably speed it up a little bit via montage, so look forward to that. But after this, I'm really not sure what we're going to do for the rest of the episode, but I did want to get this done, so bear with me, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this kind of monotonous but really fun to me project. Yeah, if people are interested in how I go about clearing, or I guess making these huge glass ceilings, I could do a little short or small video on it, or just revisit this in the next episode. Just let me know in the comments. I understand that the Nether is not everybody's favorite place, so yeah, just let me know. Okay, now for the fun part of actually clearing all this out, so wish me luck, and yeah, hope it goes fast. Okay, so that was a lot more ancient debris than I was expecting. Well, we got 3 stacks at least. Although it only took a little under an hour to mine all that, the hyper-specific editing that went into those clips took about 4 hours to fully compile. Not sure if that was a good use of my time, but at least we're done. So I'll go ahead and get this smelted up using our super smelter over here. Actually, real quick before we smelt this up, I just want to provide a tabulation for how much netherite we found. So in addition to these, and excluding this one piece of ancient debris outside here, there were 8 total pieces or blocks that we had found prior. So if you add all these up, it was about 207 blocks of ancient debris in this entire area. So if you take into account that effectively we only mined about half of the ancient debris in this quadrant, you can roughly get about 400 pieces in a given 16 by 16 chunk area in the Nether, just mining at this entire level. So from y equals 0 all the way to y equals 20. I don't know, fun fact. And we, did all the work to actually look at it. I'm sure there would be easier ways to do this, like using the X-ray mod, but I just thought it was cool to collect the data myself. Oh, looky there, we have some handy open furnaces. Right, so this is just a basic super smelter design, and I have used this to mostly just smelt netherrack down. I find that it's a more effective means of removing inventory rather than kind of dumping out all the blocks. Although there are other ways to do this, it doesn't hurt to have more blocks, and that's what all this is. Yeah, certainly a nether item themed storage system is probably overdue, but we'll get to that eventually. So while that's cooking, I'll explain a little bit more about my future plans in the Nether. So after this quadrant is mined out in its entirety, including the ceiling way over there, which you actually can't see in the render distance. Wow. So once this is mined out from y equals 12 to y equals 20, I'll more or less be done with this chunk for the time being. And I'll start clearing out this area over here. And the reason being is that if you go in this direction, so let's just say our island is like right here, this would lead to the continent. And so we haven't actually rendered a lot of that area beyond the shoreline. What we have rendered is a far bit out this way, eastward. And so, because we have the jungle continent over there, which we do have a small base, and if you go directly north of that jungle base, that would lead you all the way to spawn, which is over there. And since the vast majority of the terrain has been loaded in this direction, this is just the best direction to expend our efforts. I actually do have a portal that goes all the way to the jungle island base that we made quite a few episodes ago. So that has been useful, certainly, but we would still need to mine out even further to get to the jungle continent, and it just stops right over there. I do believe that this right here is the border of the 16 by 16 chunk. Also, it's terribly annoying that this is essentially all crimson forest, so yeah, that's always an issue. So many pigs. In any case, that's the plan for future endeavors in the Nether. But yeah, that's really all I do down here, is just clear this out and make it flyable. We do have this portal here, which leads to this small outcrop on the shoreline where I used to collect sand. And then this portal over here simply leads more inland over to this village area by the desert. And this is actually where we checked that desert pyramid for the enchanted golden apple in the end episode. Speaking of that, I actually have something to show you later. So yeah, hopefully I don't forget about that. Fantastic. So we got all the scraps smelted up. So yeah, let's head back to the overworld. And oh, before I forget, let me also grab a little bit of netherite gold ore, just in case we don't have enough gold for all of these scraps. Alright, let's get these cooking. And let's see what we have in terms of our actual storage. Oh, that should be enough. Yeah, just enough. That's quite a few ingots, too. Oh, wow. That is a lot of netherite. We are so good to go. And the reason I say this is because a while back I was making a bunch of pickaxes because I had so many levels from enchanting and just trading with the villagers for glass. So I went ahead and I just made all of these pickaxes that are all Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 5, Silk Touch Mending. And so these would be used for extensive excavation in the Nether, as to avoid having to repair on such a frequent basis. So I will go ahead and convert all of these to the netherite pickaxes, and that's probably going to use a lot of this actually. So we still need more netherite because I also wanted to have about 2 or 3 sets of armor. But, you know, while we're here, let me just convert this helmet. Okay. And that was a long time coming. All right. So this can wait. So what to do. Okay. So we're back over on the villager island. I want to see if there's any good area over here to build an offshore farm. So what I'm looking for is a shallow area. Actually, you know, this looks pretty good. Yeah, maybe I could just build it around that and then have some sort of centerpiece there in the middle. Originally, I was thinking of building it offshore here, but it may be too far away to properly render while we're doing things in the city. And then also, I did want to keep this cove as well as this area over here. I did want to avoid building underwater things over here, as we may use these areas for ports, and if there are boats, that would certainly obstruct whatever thing we have at the bottom of the ocean there. This could also be an option, but I really do like the idea of building the crops over here. Yeah, this would actually be a really nice view, because if I were to clear this out... Okay, so what I have imagined is that on the bottom of the ocean floor, I'm going to glass this, and then mine out a little bit of the area below that, and that could be an underwater farming system, which would be horribly impractical in real life, but I think it would look really nice in this cove here, since it's really not amenable to ships, and we have the sunken ship there anyway. So maybe the lore could be that it's too shallow over here for boats to be moored, so then they converted this to farming area, as the climate here is so arid. Yeah, I kind of like that. And then also, could make an area over here and a tunnel underneath the sandbar, which does protrude out from the ocean floor a little bit. Alright, since I don't really have, I guess, other ideas, I think this will be a nice little project. Hopefully it won't take too long. This is a fairly large area, but maybe for now I'll just start on the deep area and start to mine that out. And maybe this is something I can start to do as an off-camera project. Okay, so what I'll just do is I'll clear out the vegetation and then proceed to glass the floor, and then we'll be poised to mine this out and start to make whatever crop farm we want. Okay, I'll get to work and catch you after the cut. We're back at home real quick. I almost went to go make a bunch of underwater breathing potions to do this project, and then I remembered we have like several conduits. So that would have been really funny and not a good use of my time. But I'm so glad, so glad we built that guardian farm, even though it was quite an endeavor, let's just say. Okay, where's a good area? Sure, here. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta-da! Alright, we are good to go. I'll go ahead and start doing this. Okay, so what I was thinking, since this is more or less the high terrain, if this is a wheat farm and we want to take advantage of water, we could build in a sloping direction in the same manner that the seafloor is. And so the vision is to have the water distribute its stream downward, where you would have hoppers to collect the washed out crops. I'll go ahead and start to get going with laying the glass. Kind of funny that the cods seem very happy to not have the seaweed anymore, but yeah, I'll get to work on that. Honestly, what did people do before conduits? Building underwater must have been painful. Yeah, it's a start. So in the interest of time, I'm just not going to film all of this. So I'll get this going and covered with glass, and then I can start mining. All of this will probably be done via time-lapse, but I don't know, because the glass looks pretty bad and I don't have the clear glass mod, or at least I don't think one exists for 1.16. But I'll get to work on that, in addition to clearing away all this seagrass and mining this out. Okay, catch you in a bit. Okay, so I have covered the entire floor over here with glass, and so I will go ahead and start to mine this out. I don't know the exact depth, but we'll have to gauge that, I guess, once we have a good area to work with, as this will need to accommodate the water stream, whose source will originate on the top over here. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that and get to work. Alright, so that took a little bit, but now we have this space and it's looking pretty good. The area is still too shallow, so I'm definitely going to need to increase the space. It's only 2 blocks. And so I just need to make sure that there's enough vertical room for this space to not feel claustrophobic. Also, while I was digging, I found this sunken cave. And there's actually a zombie villager down here that I completely forgot about in this small room. So maybe we can bring this villager up there so we can populate this underground or underwater portion of the city area. But I'll do that in between episodes. And in the meantime, I'll just focus on replacing the stone with dirt and just making this space a little bit more amendable to what we want to build. So the water stream going there, flowing down here, and then collecting the crops down there in some manner. I will probably have to make sure that this is optimal for water flow, so I might increase the slope of this to be more gradual. We'll see how it goes. Alternatively, I could just make this a walking area over here and then just have the crops end and collect right at the basin there. I don't know. We'll just see how it turns out. So one thing I do want to do is keep a border of stone on the edges of where it will more or less contain the dirt. And I want this to be reminiscent of terrace farming, and I'll throw up a picture just to show what that is. You often see these vertically cut, gradually sloping fields in rice farms across Asia. Hopefully this turns out to look like an underwater variation of that. We'll see how it turns out. In any case, I'll get to work terraforming this, and that'll probably be towards the end of the episode as this is getting a bit long. Alright, let's finish up. Okay, so it is quite a bit later, but the build is done. And as you notice, you can see it fairly well from the shoreline, which is just great. Alright, so ultimately what I ended up doing is I ended up lowering the overall floor by about 2 blocks, so there's about 4 blocks of total distance from the bottom of the sea floor. So in terms of things that were actually done, I didn't change all that much. I just added dirt to give the terrace look, a little bit of plants, and then also I was finally able to add these farms right over here. And so the original diagonal kind of spreading across this whole area water stream, that did not work. And as you can probably imagine, if you've done this before, is that it was really difficult to predict where the water streams would go. And so ultimately I had to resort to this two-stream system where we have this L-shaped water source. And you can see that this, rather than being a standalone thing, was integrated as best as I could into the build. Obviously, this is not the most efficient way to go, but I think it looks pretty good, all things considered. And it's still functional, so if you just press this lever up here, the water will go down, and you can collect all the wheat or whatever crops you want at the bottom there. So I was really pleased that this was able to be incorporated despite not succeeding in the original vision. So that was good. So overall, I realized that this area is a little plain, but since the plan is to update the world to 1.21, my vision is that all existing builds are going to change and incorporate all the new blocks and whatnot, so might as well just leave some room for imagination for now. One thing I did not plan out in this build is this underwater cave behind me, but I was able to incorporate it into this really nice underground spring, and you can still see it even when you look above the glass, so that looks good. And then lastly, just for a little bit of decoration, and just to signify that despite the arid climate outside that's very inhospitable to most greenery, the area down here is nice and cool, so you can grow things like bamboo, have grass, and there's just potted plants and flowers about this area just to give it a little bit of touch of color and whatnot. Oh, also I relocated the conduit from above the sea floor, or I guess from above the glass ceiling down here into the underwater cave system. So that ended up being a nice little thing, and even better, the conduit effect still carries up into the above ocean, so that was really, really nice. Ultimately, the plan would be to expand this further and just make a nice little wheat field all around this area, but for now I think this is a pretty good start. Over here I have a small little storage area that has, the stuff we've been using. So just a pretty basic area over here. And then finally at the top I just mixed in a little bit more of this vegetation and left this area open because maybe this could be a good, point of entry. Maybe over here once we get this mined out or something along those lines. So in terms of detail and overall complexity, this is probably one of the simplest builds in the world. I think the overall vibe and aesthetic of this area pairs very nicely with the subsea minecart system that we had built at home not too long ago. Okay, maybe it was long ago, but in any case, it goes well with that. And eventually, we would like that minecart system and transportation to go all the way over here and have everything connected. So it's just one kind of unifying theme of underwater stuff, I suppose. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to expand that out soon. But for now, I'm pleased with this build, and I realize that we really got to get this episode out because I have a lot of stuff to take care of that's not Minecraft related. Alright, so now that this is done, I'm going to go ahead and head back home just for a couple of things. Okay, so I mentioned an enchanted golden apple earlier in the episode, and I just wanted to say that as I was exploring and excavating out the red sand over in here, I went to the desert right over here, and you can see right at the crosshairs that there is a desert pyramid, or maybe it's not so obvious, but in any case, I visited that pyramid, and I was really, really pleased to find an enchanted golden apple at last. So now we can make the island banner, and I will, I think, do this as soon as I can in the next episode. It's so good that we finally have this notch apple. It's been so long, and I hunted so many mine shafts just to find this thing. And I'm really glad I checked out that desert pyramid, even though it was off camera. But yeah, looking forward to that for sure. Alright, so I think that concludes this episode, though I do want to mention a couple of things before I end it. So I want to mention that between work, family, and just stuff in general, my plate of things to do is just stacked way too high. And as a result, I'm going to need to take a break from both YouTube and Minecraft for at least a month or two in order to address my responsibilities. And I know that this probably sounds super disappointing with a new update literally dropping this week, but I just gotta take care of it, so I'm really sorry about that. Oh, speaking of the new update, I goofed that up. It's not tricky trails, it's tricky trials. Third time's the charm. I really hope I didn't mess it up this time. But going back to the need for a hiatus, I apologize to the new subscribers that this is the state of things when you've just joined in on the fun. Regardless of my level of activity on the channel, I truly appreciate all of your support and patience as I get through my task list for the next month or two. And in the meantime, I sincerely hope that all of you get to have fun and enjoy the 1.21 update when it releases on June 13th later this week. Okay, so with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Take care, and see you in the next video.